Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Spark of Genius Flesh and Blood production. Joined by my co-creator, co-commentator, co-caster, co-compatriot, Rob.
Hello.
Rob is back from a hiatus of being sick. He's not sick for the moment, so we're going to take
Yep.
this opportunity to make a video. Um,
Yes.
and it's Rosetta, and not Rosetta Thorn. Although obviously you can see with the art, we're going back to an area. We're not actually going back to our area. We're going to Candlehold specifically as the Pulse of Candlehold, the one card being in Tales of Aria, one of the Majestics, obviously. So they revealed this new set at US Nats on the very last day. I was watching along with other people, right with the winner, Evan. I think they were just going through a lot of these spoilers, and this is going to be September 20th, 2024. So this should be the World set, right? So World's October 31st,
Right.
that Halloween weekend. So this is the World set. So this is pretty important because it is the set with the most money attached to it, right? Like Worlds is the highest payout. So obviously, all eyes on this kind of set. Preview season in August, premiere in Tampa Bay, and then obviously previous release, all that kind of stuff. So
Yep.
a couple things with this set is if we scroll to the piece here, this is a 4 hero class. Just as a summary for anyone who didn't watch it,
Mhm.
it's 4 heroes. Going back to elements, but only earth and lightning. So we're not going to ice, which is an interesting kind of. And I think they did mention that they don't want it to be touching ice for a little while.
Yeah.
Uh,
It was a point of contention, I think, for Tales of
it's
Aria. It was a slower
yeah,
and less interactive, I guess less interactive gameplay, but people were a
slow
little
burn.
bit upset with the way that ice can just completely, tilt an opponent. I should put it
Yeah,
that way.
I mean, I think ice is just like very meta warping, right? And it goes to show the two ice heroes, obviously Alexi and Oldhim, are LL'd already, right? All these ice cards are kind of worthless at the moment. But it's also interesting that they, unlike Briar, which was the other Tales, also LL'd, but not ice. That one took a little bit longer, right? So
Yeah.
that was Earth Lightning, but here they've done 2 and 2. So 2 Earth heroes, 2 Lightning heroes, two
Yeah.
Wizards, and 2 Runeblades. So no new classes. There we go. We got the Marvel
Yeah.
One Young heroes here on the board here. We have Florian, Verdance, Aurora, and Acilio, and we've got 2 of each. So we got an Earth Runeblade,
Hmm.
Earth Wizard, and then Lightning for both of those. They only revealed the text on the Runeblade heroes first, so we'll talk a little bit more about those in a second, and then the Wizard one's kind of a little bit later. Interesting to note, it's going to be back to I guess not back to, but it's going to be a arcane limited format, right? And it's going to be all arcane limited, meaning all 4 heroes have the capacity to do arcane damage, which has never been the case because Arcane Rising had Viscerai, obviously, and Kingdom.
Mechanologist. Right, but
Well,
two heroes
well,
that
yeah,
didn't
two
have
heroes that
anything.
didn't,
Yeah.
and 2 heroes that did, right? Exactly. And then Tales of Aria just had Briar, really, that was doing arcane damage. So arcane damage being one of those very interesting pieces where your generics are likely going to be like arcane barrier or arcane
Hmm.
prevention. I feel like they might be slowly going away from arcane barrier, but there might be like a hood or a couple pieces like like the sky body, the Kekoi. Like there's going to be like the generic
Hmm.
arcane barrier that everyone gets to use. That's probably going to be quite important and limited to pick up 1 or 2 of those.
Yeah.
And it's going to warp the limited set because whenever arcane, especially wizards, are in a set, usually dealing damage on your opponent's turn is not far behind. And so
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
can already see that with a couple of the spoiler cards that we're going to mention soon. But any of these excite you just by looking at them?
Hmm.
Any of these heroes? I mean, we don't know
I mean,
anything
I
about the
I do
heroes,
play a
but
lot of Runeblade, so for me, I
you
think
do.
Florian seems like the most interesting between the two. We only got the
Mhm.
Runeblade spoiled so far, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
This guy looks pretty cool though. Auxilia looks pretty
Facilio?
awesome. Although if
Yeah.
I had to pick a hero to like gravitate towards, it might be Florian. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah. I mean, it's like Earth versus Lightning, which is interesting because Briar didn't make you decide. You got
Yeah,
both.
that's right. Yeah.
Which that's probably a bit of their tuning because some of these cards are quite powerful, as we can see. So it's really like a new keyword getting spoiled for Florian, not yet for Aurora, but
Was it
decompose being.
decompose? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's an interesting mechanic that we can kind of talk about. Aurora being the lightning hero, looking like with the lightning card being spoiled, could possibly go like a little bit more aggressive and wide and do
Yeah.
like tons of damage and try to like
Kind
really
of
over.
reminiscent of like the Cheerios Briar style, I think.
Yeah, Yeah, and like her ability is kind of more geared towards go again and go wide, it seems. But we'll kind of talk a little bit more about those. But I do like that they're
Yeah.
doing the world premiere. I think the world premiere weekends are actually like the best weekend. Like the Tokyo one was
Yeah,
especially good.
it's the most fun. You're
Um,
trying the set for the first time, and it's like a ton of limited,
yeah,
tons of packs. I think that's probably the most fun I've had in a long
yeah,
time playing Fab.
yeah, exactly. And this one they specifically also already said that the majority of the high rarity cards won't be revealed in preview season, which is interesting,
Hmm.
being packs torn open. So in obviously the one in Tokyo, there were a lot of the Japanese exclusive cards that
Yeah,
we didn't really know about. They were kind of like torn open, the Marvel
and we found
versions.
exactly we found them out in real time as we opened them, which
Yeah,
is really really cool.
yeah, quite nice. I mean, I neither of us will be at the Tab Vape premiere. We only have
Yeah,
so much,
yeah, we're probably missing this one.
unfortunately. Yeah,
It's too
it'd be
bad.
nice, but yeah, not really gonna be
Yeah.
going to this one. But we'll be doing these pre-releases. They're gonna be, of course, expansion cards, 15 new cards. So that'll be
Yep.
quite interesting to see what classes they're picking.
Hmm.
Because in this set, in Mistveil, they do have like Shadow Runeblade for a Vincent card.
Right.
I don't think they've been printing out Runeblade expansion card slots for a little while now.
Yeah.
Specifically either for Viscerai or just Runeblade in general, depending on what it is. Mainly geared towards like Aura Runeshand, like Galaxia and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, so like gearing more towards that kind of style, which I can totally see Florian getting into. So I'm kind of
Right.
curious to see if that's actually a very good kind of mid-range Runeshan Gen play style or just like an OTK Rune Gen play style. I'm kind of
Yeah.
interested in Florian in that kind of regard.
Yeah. I think you can do both because Earth is typically more on the defensive side, so you could potentially
Yep.
have an Earth build where you just play defensive and then eventually Mauve Skies or Mordred Tide them and just win the game basically.
Yeah, it is actually interesting that like I keep thinking of Mordred Tide and remembering it's not a Viscerai specialization. I always think it's
Yeah.
Viscerai spec, but it's actually not,
It's
which is
not. Yeah. I mean, we'll
it's
talk about the
from the
cards later,
Arcanes.
but this seems to be kind of
Yeah.
perfect for Florian. Yeah.
It does. So the Japanese also has additional two legendary cards, which is Arcanite, Skullcap, and Shock Charmers. So in
Yeah.
the Japanese Mistveil, it was Mask of Momentum. So here they're giving you Skullcap and Shock Charmers, which is interesting. Shock Charmers make sense for lightning, so that could be like the arm piece of choice
Yeah.
for Aurora. I wouldn't be surprised. Skullcap's interesting though. What do you think of that?
Well, it makes sense because this is the only Arcane Barrier 3 piece we have, I think, right? So if you're going to be dealing with an Arcane Barrier only set, you're probably going to want to have this card more readily available.
When your life is lower, it's not like on a stick, but I understand what you're kind of saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'll be a great sideboard piece into maybe this coming meta, probably even further. I think it's going to come back. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, just give them a chance to have some tech. It might not even be that good, but it's just like here's an option for you guys to use this if you want to.
Yep. There. Another thing is they're bringing back the 8-pack sealed. So this was instituted for part of the Misfail, 8-pack sealed, 30 cards, only 30 cards, no higher, no lower.
Yeah.
I'm curious I don't know if Brian Gottlieb explicitly said it's also going to be a 30 card limited format,
Hmm.
or if it was like a 30 card minimum like it used to be beforehand,
Yeah.
or what was kind of on those. I would hope that it's the same idea where it's going to be a 30 card set with 8 packs, just
Yeah.
because. Yeah, you don't want to be running into the place where you're just going to run literally every single playable card. It's going
Yeah.
to go more fatiguey, don't really think people like grinding out for like post 30 minutes. Like,
No.
the rounds aren't that long, and it's
No.
it's with especially with Earth being like one of the
Exactly.
as you said, it's kind of defensive decks. I don't want like an Oldhim-esque deck. We'll have like a million cards with Oldhim and just like
Yeah, that wasn't fun. Yeah, I don't really miss that.
yeah. So that's kind of another thing to note here. I like the art on the
Yeah.
bar there. You think that's not well?
Yeah.
That's the
Probably the
we don't
Fabled
know
here.
what that card is. Yeah.
It's gonna be the
Well,
Fabled, maybe.
I feel like I don't think it's gonna be the Fable. 'Cause they usually leave the Fable mats for like worlds, like the worlds mat or the PT mat, or like that's usually when they put like a gem mat or whatever. They use the Fable mat. I
Yeah.
don't think you would make a Fable
They
mat.
wouldn't put it right on the
'Cause
box. You don't think?
yeah, I don't think they would put the Fable in the box or make
Yeah.
it, because this mat, like this art, is coming in one of the mats. I think it's in the world premiere. That's the world premiere mat, I
Oh, I
think.
see
So
what you're saying. So they wouldn't have that as the Fabled mat
I
because
doubt I doubt it.
yeah.
We'll see. I'm not sure. And then we got the Blitz. Oh, there you go. The mat there comes in the.
Oh, here it
I
is.
lied. It wasn't the Premier mat. I lied. It was the in this product. So it's even more kind of available here as
Yeah,
far
even
as
less
the
prestigious of a mat. Yeah.
Seed of Candlehold. That's the actual card name. You can see it's a beautiful Seed of Candlehold rubber
Seed.
playmat.
Okay,
So
nice.
that's
Yeah.
actually the card. It kind of makes sense. It's probably going to be some kind of like. I'm very interested to see if they have any like life gain generation. We'll see one of the cards in a sec here, but
Yeah.
life gain being a more like prominent piece of the set itself. Earth, life, recycle,
Hmm.
all that kind of the growth. I'm actually quite interested to see because they really haven't done a lot of like life gain shenanigans yet in
Yeah.
Fab, which for better or for worse, but
It's
we'll
true.
kind of
It usually
see.
comes at a higher cost. Usually not with Go Again, or if it's an instant like
Mm.
what's its face, the most common one. Uh,
Sigil.
I'm black. Yeah, Sigil. Thank you. Yeah.
Fair. Yeah, there's not a lot of life gain or life uh like there's not a lot of ways to kind of screw with your own life total other than be been set for her hero ability to actually have an impact on the game. So I'm kind
Hmm.
of like there's no necromancer in the game, which is usually the life point
Right.
manipulator. But there is
Yeah.
that class doesn't exist yet. Hit hint listeners, please.
We know it's gonna come, but just not right now.
One day
Before
before I
you.
stop playing this game.
Yeah.
Ideal, but let's take a look at some of the spoiled cards here.
Yeah, all right.
So
So here I am on February, where it's a great source for all of the spoilers because it's all on the same page as they come, so you can
yes,
visit this page frequently and get all the spoilers as they
like,
come. Let's talk
let's
about
the heroes first. Look
Florian.
at
Yeah,
Florian.
yeah. So
Sure.
Florian.
So we'll just read out the description just for everyone
Yep.
might be listening who can't see it. If there are four or more Earth cards in your banish zone, Florian gets if you would create one or more aura tokens, instead create that many plus one of these tokens, Essence of Earth. So it's an elemental Runeblade Young. Well, of course, we're assuming the adult has the same text.
Yep.
If it doesn't, it
Hopefully.
doesn't, but we're assuming it does. So it's an
Yeah.
Earth only elemental hero. So you can use Earth cards, Runeblade cards, elemental Runeblade cards, generic cards, obviously, as well. But
Yep.
those are kind of the three pools you're taking from. No extra talents added in this that we can see. No new talents added into this set. So four or more Earth cards into the Banish Zone. There's not a lot of like. There are cards that target Grave to banish. As far as Runeblade specifically that does that, not a lot. And that's kind of where
Yep.
his new keyword Decompose, not his
Yeah.
keyword, but the new keyword Decompose kind of
Let's
comes into
open
play.
that
So
card. That is on the
that's
channel of
on the tree.
Millennium. Nope,
No,
I'm
that's not the
wrong.
tree.
The felling of the crown.
Felling of
That's
the
the one.
Crown,
Yeah,
the tree without leaves on it.
yeah.
So let's
Decompose tree.
so this one's a 3 for 4 block 3 Earth attack. So if there are four or more Earth cards in your banish, gets +4. So this one is kind of they're using 4 as that kind of point in the game where they want you to be able to pitch a blue and come in for 8, I guess.
Mhm.
And decompose when it attacks, you can banish 2 Earth cards and an action card from your graveyard. So the action card doesn't seem to need to be Earth. It's just
Right.
banish 2 Earth cards. So they could be reactions, they could be instants, they could be whatever, which is very interesting to note because that just means there could be very easily Earth D reacts. There could be anything attached to Earth instance. We did see a couple in Tales of Aria. I think Summerward Shelter. It's been a while. I think that was
Yeah,
the card. I think that's what it's called. And
I think so.
any action card from your graveyard. So
Right.
this could be like generic something like that. So you don't have to stick with like solo Earth or anything like that. You
Yeah.
can have a mix. If you do, each hero puts a card from their hand to the bottom of the deck. Very Crown of Seeds esque. You just
Hmm.
don't get to draw a card. Now this is very nice because it gives you disruption, but it's if you do each hero puts a card from the hand to the bottom, but you could just have no cards and they could have a card.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you
Yeah.
can just have a
So
two
you
card 8
two card exactly. Yeah.
and then take one of their cards and they if they don't want to block, they're taking 8, which is quite a bit. But it is taking a card and they don't get to like redraw it kind of thing. Because
Yeah.
some of the effects you see are more like like that illusionist cards where like you put your arsenal to the bottom but then you get a ponder so you still get to like
Yeah.
get something out of it here.
There's some
This was
compensation for the card.
this was kind of more of a codex-esque
Mm.
approach where you put something that's like a blood rod, you put something in there and then that's it, nothing gets to
Yep.
get like
You
recycled or
can
anything like
dodge
that.
the disadvantage part of the card if you play it right.
Yeah,
So
assuming I'm reading this
interesting.
correct, this was as if you do each hero does this, but if you had it doesn't say like they need to have that
Yeah.
or the other one doesn't
Yeah.
happen.
It's
So
not like if you put
seems
it on the
to me
bottom first, then the opponent does. It's just
correct.
both at the
Correct.
same time.
Yeah, so the way this reads, it has disruption on top of it, which kind of insane. I think this
Yeah.
card is extremely good
I
just by
mean,
the
I think Decompose on its own is probably good enough of a reason to play this card because, as you said,
oh yeah.
not many cards have a banish ability that Florian has access to. That's typically the Shadow Runeblade cards that can do that. There are a
Mhm.
couple of generic ones, like very few generic ones that can banish from your own graveyard. Think like uh,
I mean, we could look it up. We don't have to sit here and think about it. But the
yeah,
point is, this
yeah.
particular card leads me to believe this decompose is going to be a more common, uh, common keyword
Like
we're
they'll
going to
have
see in
more
the
cards
set.
with Decompose. Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah,
You wouldn't
this
create a
this has
keyword
to
with
be
just
the
one
main.
card that has it.
I would hope not, but
Mm-hmm.
four or more Earth cards in your banish is interesting. So unless they print Earth cards that go straight to banish from grave, because there are cards that very few cards that do that. I think Mark of the Beast is the only one I can think of right now that actually goes straight to banish zone.
There is,
Yeah.
I think Sotomoro, if you play it, it goes to banish directly. So Sotomoro could be a good card.
Yeah. So tomorrow is also interesting. Yeah, also an Earth card too. So there could be some nice. We could check that out on the side. Could be some nice combinations here. But Felling of the Crown extremely good. In Florian for sure. I don't really know about the Wizard card, the Wizard of course,
Yeah,
but
we
for
can't really
Florian, it's a very good
speak
card.
on that. Yeah.
Let's look
How
at
about the
Germinate.
Germinate? Yeah, his specialty card. Yeah.
So first of all, this border is great. This is
Yeah.
probably one of my favorite
It's
borders in the game so
stained
far.
glass kind of
Yeah, doesn't
style.
it look sick?
It's
Yeah,
nice. It's very nice.
I'm a big fan here. So Germinate, 3 block Earth Runeblade action. It's Florian, obviously, so it makes sense. Create a
Mm-hmm.
rune chant or embodiment of Earth. Good thing I got those
Mm-hmm.
colorful embodiments ready. Repeat this process X more times, gain X plus one. It's
Yeah.
XX, so you're gonna have to. So if you declare X as being one,
Gotta pay two.
you got to pay two, and vice and so on and so forth. So you could pitch a blue and have one floating left over. That's
Yeah.
probably fine. X plus one is I guess if you pay zero, you still get one life, which is kind of interesting. But
That's all
it
you
has
would do.
no
Oh, I guess you
yeah,
create
it
one
has
of the auras because you don't need to repeat the
yeah,
process. You just create something and then
correct.
gain one health. Yeah.
Correct. So it would be zero, create a rune chant. So in a pitch, you could get it's a blue for two value. Like the absolute floor, and this is not a legendary, so you can run three of these, which is
Oh
I
yeah,
imagine
actually,
you are going to run
I
three of
missed
these.
that. Yeah, it's true. You can play three. Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah,
nice.
I imagine you have to play three of these. It seems like a pretty crazy card. So because it's a blue earth block three, which is already really really
Yeah,
good, right? Because
yeah.
it's gonna be you can target it for banish, you can
Hmm.
use it for
You can
defense, offense, or both.
fuse with it.
Yep, confuse. Yep. And I think the most ideal scenarios, I think like Christmas Land scenario is like X is three, and you have two blues in this. I have a feeling that probably won't be the more likely scenario is like a blue and this, and your turn will essentially be like play this from Arsenal or something like this, pitch a blue, and then you could create Rushan or embodiment, and you're going to want to use this after Florin is online because this will affect
Yeah,
both of them, right? And create an extra token. So essentially, if X is one, you essentially get to create Runechant or embodiment. Florian creates another one, and then repeat Runechant or embodiment.
yeah.
Florian creates another one. So you
So
can
four total of a
essentially
mixture of
four
these,
total,
basically.
and that's the key. You get a mixture, which is really nice. You want four Runechants, four embodiments, two and two, and you still get two life. So
Yeah,
overall, you're getting what six value off this card,
yeah.
essentially, right? So you get two, two, two if you
And
use Florian's ability.
your embodiment of Earth could also extend over multiple blocks, so you could even get more
Yep.
value off of that.
Exactly. No, I totally agree, and it's kind of that line, and it only costs a blue. It's difficult to get to free resources, which would be nice. Like
Hmm.
the ninja chess piece, if you transcend a bunch, you can get free resources like that. But like just having like kind of tunic. But if there's like something else in her suite that lets her get like free resources, and you have like a blue, and you can make X equals two, like get over that kind of hump for that. The extra resource might be very even on tunic, just in general, pitching a blue plus tunic and making
Hmm.
X equals two with Florian, you
Yeah,
can get what six rune chance and three health or something ridiculous,
that's
which
right.
is
Yeah, 9
seems kind
value.
of insane. Yeah, and you can play this as an instant off creepers if I'm right.
Put it on
If you
actions instant.
actually
I guess so. Yeah.
yeah, if you attack or defend obviously, but if you have some way of being like, oh, I attack and then you just play this as an instant, or you attack like do a rune chant damage or something like this, and it could play more into like a mid rangey style with like
Right.
creepers.
Where you want to be using your rune chance kind of over the course of the game
Yeah,
and not all at once towards the end.
yeah, and so because I feel like this might be a more blue heavy deck, anyways.
Yeah,
It's really good
Earth
on both.
typically is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
because it is the definition of mid range. You get damage
yeah.
and you get defense, so probably a lot of help
Yeah.
there. Let's
We
check
could talk
out
about the Millennium Tree since we're
tree.
on the topic of Earth anyway in Florian.
Yeah, so AMP3 is interesting. So channel the Millennium Tree. I think of the Yu-Gi-Oh. I mean, you think of Yu-Gi-Oh whenever you see
Millennium
that.
Puzzle.
It's not yeah Millennium Puzzle here, but it's or the Millennium Falcon for Star Wars. But to that end, we have this big beautiful tree, very similar border we've seen from Arya. Cost 3, it's a red, so same as Channel Mount Heroic, as I guess the direct competitor or like the direct
Yep.
piece here. It does have go again. When it enters the arena at the beginning of your action phase, AMP 3. So AMP 3, the only card that actually has AMP on it is Kindle, which is an expansion card slot, which had AMP 1 in the Wizard zone. Is essentially, before replacement effects, it essentially adds an amount of arcane damage to some kind of arcane spell you're slinging. So in this case, AMP 3. I think Kindle's AMP 1, if I recall correctly. That could be kind of broken if it wasn't more than AMP 1.
Yeah.
But this is AMP 3. So I guess if you get this off for one turn, it gives you 3 arcane damage at the very, very minimum, which seems
Right.
kind of weak. However, this does block 3. So it is a blocking Earth card. It is red though, but at the beginning it has the same flow counters it looks like from the Channel Earth. So you're
Yeah.
gonna need to pitch
It's
a
a
Earth card.
it's like a direct parallel. It's basically Channel Mount Heroic, but instead of 3 attack, it's 3 arcane damage essentially. So
Sure. So how it's like how easy is it gonna be to get like
yeah.
multiple arcane damage sources in a turn? We have no idea. The Earth is really not other than I think the rare I forgot the name of it. It's the 1 for 3 rare if you fuse it does an arcane damage or something like that. I completely forgot what the name is. We can check it in a sec here,
Oh,
but
you're talking
like
about
one card I
Bramble
can think of.
Spark, maybe?
No,
No,
but
that's
that's
zero
another
for sorry, that's 0 for 3. Yeah.
that's 0 for 3 and 1 arcane. Yeah, it's +3 and 1 arcane off the fuse, obviously, and there's 2 or 1 for yellow and blue. But no, I'm thinking of the rare Earth card. But
Okay, maybe
that's
Vela
fine.
Flash. That's coming to mind, but I don't know if that's the.
Mm,
Anyway, yeah, we
we're
can
in
look
the
at the
right
cards
neighborhood
together.
here.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
not that many, and you're gonna have to figure out a way to get go again on a lot of these attacks if that's kind of how you're doing it, or
Hmm.
get like some way of generating action points to do so. So this card doesn't seem as immediately broken as the tree without leaves, ironically enough.
Yeah.
But Earth card blocks 3 can't be that bad. It's a majestic,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
that's what we said about lightning step, though. But anyways, that's
Yeah. A card that we can probably still ignore
thunder
this
step,
set.
thunder step, I think, or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Channel Thunderstep.
Dino thunder step. So let's look at. So we're not going to look at the Verdant card. We could take a very short look at the
Yeah.
Verdant
Sure. Yeah.
because it's not. We don't know what she does yet, but
Yeah.
it is an Earth wizard.
But we
So
just gain one. Gain one. Gain one.
So this just makes me, and it has go again, which is kind of nice, and it's a blue, and it's an Earth block 3, which you know
Yep.
seems real good.
Yep.
I looking at this just makes me think that there's going to be a card that says if you were to gain 1 life, instead gain 1 more, or
Yeah. That's
something along
probably
those
the only
lines.
reason you would print a card like this, where you gain one but 3 separate times instead of all at once.
Yeah, I mean, I
Buffs
think it would be
every
too
one of them.
broken. Yeah, I think it'd be too broken to be like if you were to gain life instead gain 1 more. This would be a 2 card 6 blue block. That
Right.
seems too broken to me.
Yep.
Um, in my and go again. At least Germinate doesn't have go
Didn't have
again,
go again. Yeah.
and it needed Florian's text to be open to be able to get that kind of thing. Where this is like 1/1. I mean, it could be the same idea. Like if you have 4 Earth cards banished for the Earth Wizard, similar-ish effect for life or something. Or maybe if you were
Hmm.
gain like sum the total +1. So it might be like, oh, okay, so you're gonna gain 1/1/1. You get to gain 1 more time. Or so.
Yeah.
That seems like a little bit more reasonable to me
Yeah.
instead of like a card that said 2 for
Just
6
gain
life
six
is
health.
kind of nuts. Yeah, that's kind of nuts. You could go again too. Um, so very good card at the base. It's just a block 3 life. Go again. I don't know. Kind of nuts. It's a good starter
Yeah.
too. If you need to
It's-
play a non-attack for something, if
Right.
you need to start the chain off a non-attack. So good card.
Yeah. Do you want to move
Nothing
on
else
to
to
the
say.
next hero, or do you want to delve more into cards for Florian?
Now
What
let's
makes
check out
more
the
sense?
the, the last the
Go
last
into
kind of hero.
Aurora? Why
Or,
not?
yeah, let's talk about Aurora a little bit. So once per turn instant costs 2, so it's a little bit expensive. as
Mhm.
far as we're thinking about like Redline Briarich kind of build. This is a
Yeah.
little bit more expensive ability. So it's a once per turn instant though, so you can do it on their turn also, which is kind of nice. Create an embodiment of lightning. Activate this only if you played a lightning card this turn. So played a lightning card. So that could be like a if there's a lightning D react, that'd be pretty funny. I know there isn't at the moment, but if
That's
there
a good
was a
way to get
lightning,
around that. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
there's also lightning cards that can do like possibly like arcane damage or something like that on their turn, or like if it's
Hmm.
their turn, do an arcane to them. Like that could be something that turns this on. And
Right.
so I wouldn't be surprised if Aurora does have some tricks up her sleeve, given the lightning card that was spoiled to
Yeah.
do arcane damage
You,
on the opposing hero's turn.
yeah, you essentially do want the essence of lightning at the beginning of your turns to give the first attack go again, because otherwise
Mhm.
you'll have to play an attack that's lightning that maybe has go again built in, and
Sure.
then you get the embodiment, then you can keep going. So, or you just start with a non-attack action card or an instant, like we see here, spoiled.
Yep. So let's check out the instant really quickly here, because it's
Pretty
very
nuts.
nice.
I like it a
Excellent
lot.
art too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it seems better than the tree at the moment, but it's the first
Yeah.
time you deal damage to an opposing hero this turn, draw a card. It's an instant, no block, yellow.
Any damage too.
Yeah, just damage in general. And the best part about this is it's an instant. And so you get
Hmm.
to do that thing that Icelander did with Channel Lake Frigid, where you
Right.
play it on their turn and you essentially get 2 turns of value minimum off
Yeah.
of it, right? You get their turn, and then in Icelander, you create a Frostbite, blah, 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 all that kind of thing, and it would still have an effect. But also in this particular case, you just draw a card. So this is a 1 for 2 cards if you can do damage on both turns, right? So it's the first time you deal damage. So if you do something like a Sigil of Suffering, which I think the example that
Mm.
Brian brought up in the stream, that does do damage to your opponent, you're able to draw a card. So it's the
Yeah.
first time you deal damage. So you can do it like in response or something like that, or something really random. But I imagine there will be other cards that do have an effect that will allow you to do that, but is definitely going towards that kind of thing where you just want to draw a lot of cards for lightning, because it seems like it possible that you're going to need more cards to play out your hands and use Aurora's ability effectively because it costs 2.
Yeah.
So very good though. Like I was at minimum it's 0 cards technically if you don't do any
If you don't
damage,
do
but
anything, that's right. But hopefully you
I
can
feel like
play it like in response to your opponent not blocking your attack. Like, okay, let me put this in here and then cash out on the value right there, or on your opponent's turn with a sigil or something if you want to be sneaky.
yeah, it's the first time you deal damage, you can like pass on your. You could do it, I guess, resolution step probably. Well,
Yeah, I
no, that'd be
guess you can probably attack your opponent does not block, and you can play this as a reaction basically, just
probably a reaction because it's not an on hit, so you're gonna have to play it
before
before
the
damage
hit. Yeah.
falls. Yeah, because there's no priority during
Of
damage.
course, your opponent can still use a D react after you've played this, but it's still kind of catching them off. If they don't have a D react, then you get the card, which is very nice.
Mhm. Yeah, no, that's definitely fair, and it's
Yeah.
also kind of if they're unloading on you on their turn, and you're like doing something, you do a little bit of damage. They don't have cards to really block it, anyways. You like ping them, draw the card of channel,
Yeah.
and then you
You
can
can
have
block
that
with that
lightning
card.
card. Yeah, you could like have it, and then you get to pitch it to keep channel lightning valley kind of thing, right? So
Oh,
it
that
kind
too.
of
Yeah.
itself for the flow counter because
Yeah,
you're gonna
yeah.
need one on your turn.
It's
Either
true.
way,
I
very
will
good
say
card.
that I think that Aurora seems like the most lightning hero we've had so far, right? Like
Mhm.
Lexi, you get the lightning, you get the embodiment of lightning on your own turn, get go again. Not bad.
Yeah,
Briar typically didn't utilize the go again much on the lightning, except you have to play 2 non-attack actions and you get lightning. But this feels like it's more like lightning speed to play things on your opponent's turn and to really have that like kind of like that interactivity that you would expect from a lightning fast hero, right? So
yeah,
I find flavor wise this is probably the most lightning hero we've had so far, and she's only lightning, so it kind of makes sense, I guess, if you think of it that way.
sure. Let's pop up a couple cards that we think might be. Let's search out
Yeah,
Elemental Runeblade first, because
yeah. Let's
Elemental Runeblade,
see.
both of these share. Or you got Earth right now. We
I
can start
had
with Earth.
Earth first if we want to look at that. Yeah, sure.
Honestly, only Autumn's Touch really looks super interesting to me at the moment.
Yeah,
I
I,
mean,
I
you
will
can maybe
bring
like
up the I will bring up Sotomoro just because it's the only card that banishes itself from the when you after you play it from Arsenal, I think. But you just no, as long as you play it, you can
you
banish
just
Sotomoro. So it's next to Earth
yeah,
target for Florian. If you play the Decompose effect, you can banish 3 Earth, and this could be the fourth one that you're missing for the ability. So it might
it's
fit in pretty
true.
well.
Yeah, I'd be a little bit. It's interesting because it also puts Grave to the bottom, so it's like
You're kind of
you get
counterintuitive a bit, yeah.
yeah.
But
Um,
it's an immediate banish, so I'll leave it at
Sure.
that. I think it might be useful in fringe cases, or it might be a staple. So I don't really know.
You could. It's true. It doesn't block three, but it does put itself into banish. It gives you a card if it's from Arsenal. So I can definitely see that.
I think especially because
So
decomposes 3 cards and you need 4, so
it
it
is.
might be good.
It's true. I think Earthlore Surge could be interesting. I don't really see it at the moment.
Yeah.
It's just like another two block. I think that to be a two block in like a more mid-rangey defensive style Earth build, you're going to need to do a lot. And I don't really think two costs is also a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
so not super interested in that one at the moment. I
Yeah.
think Channel Mount Heroic. I don't know if it's going to see that
I
much play in Florian, but maybe if someone wants to like it
You can
seems a
build
little
it that
bit.
way if you want to, but because this itself is not a token aura, you don't get double Mount Heroic if you play this with Florian's
Oh,
ability,
if
of
you took
course,
that
right?
would be stupid. Yeah, no, that's
So
true.
it doesn't seem to fit Florian's playstyle that much because he's going to be more aura
Mhm.
generation. This is more on attack, cheap
Yeah,
attacks back to back. So
yeah.
I don't
No,
know
I
about that
totally
one.
agree. Anything else
Um,
that we think is useful here?
Nothing else that I can really think of. I don't really know if Tome of Harvest will come into play much. It might as just like a card that you just throw in there, but it's a
Doesn't
blue.
block. The
Yeah.
thing is, like these Earth cards, unless they're like Autumn's Touch, like blue block three solid card, I think there's
Hmm.
gonna be enough Earth block threes in the new set that I don't think we really have to go down the rabbit hole of a bunch of two blocks
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
He's probably gonna be okay with that. So let's go to the
Let's
next one
go.
here.
You want a talent, elemental, I guess, and
Elemental Runeblade.
element. How do you spell element? Elemental and C Runeblade. Let's see if that works.
My man's a software dev already. All right.
I can type.
So, oh, Explosive Growth was the card I was thinking of. So Explosive
Explosive.
Growth is the
Ah,
only one
okay.
I was thinking about that has the like kind of Earth fusion it does
Does arcane,
when you
right?
attack, deal one arcane to target hero. So that's like you're able to like get mixed damage in. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think it's like the
Right.
one cost is kind of awkward. It is something that Florian might be able to use here.
Yeah.
Now, the key is this is going to be this lends itself more of a mid-rangey style, but like I don't know, it's just like a
Yeah.
possible card he might want to use other than like something like a Bramble Spark,
Yeah.
which
Brambles is
is
an obvious choice, I guess. Very tried and true. I think 0 cost and 3 damage plus 1 arcane's pretty nice. You'll almost always have a card to fuse because you're only Earth, so hopefully you do find an Earth card to fuse.
yeah, the issue is that you'll probably want to play more Earth non-attack actions to target for Decompose because it needs two
Ah,
Earth cards in one action. The one action is everything, but you're still going to need a bunch of Earth cards to do the two,
that is
right?
true.
So it seems that you're probably going to want Earth a little bit more likely than not, and I think the Elemental Runeblade cards are like just kind of fine. There,
Hmm.
a lot of them were like, other than Bramble Spark, a lot of them were kind of limited shaft, and like Shockwave was good in Cheerios
Yeah.
Briar. But like, other than that, there really doesn't seem like to be too much of a use for mixed damage at the moment. When Florian seems to be more on the generation train.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
let's take a look at Runeblade for a sec.
Yeah, let's remove the elemental tag, go right into Runeblade. There's gonna be some duplication, of course, but that's okay.
Yeah. So Runeblade, I kind of want to look at like the thing is, I don't know how good Mordred Tide is going to be because for Mordred Tide to be good, you need to be generating a lot of different instances of rune chance, right? So
Yeah,
the key
yeah,
with Viscera is like Viscera's ability itself created rune chance, right? In general, if all you're doing is like read the runes, you're generating two rune chance from Mordred Tides. Like I'm talking about like the base kind of low end example.
yeah.
You're doing like an extra one or two rune chance. It's not really worth it here, right? But obviously, I think Florian can definitely look to cards like Read the Runes if he wants to generate like extra rune chance. Things like Read the Runes, reduce
So,
rune chance.
quick clarification on ruling. So, Florian does say if you were to create a token aura, create one more of each. It means like if you create 3 rune chants, you create 6, right? Or does it mean it only creates one more of that specific type? Like
I
it's
think it's one
4.
more instance. I think it's one more of that. One more instance of that. We can look at Florian one more time, but
Yeah, yeah. Just as a clarification point, because I'm not sure if it doubles everything or it just adds like one more of every type of aura you've created.
you create one or more. Instead, create that many plus one. So it'd be three plus one. So it'd be four.
Of each
Um,
of those tokens, though.
Correct for each of those tokens. So it's any of those. So if something created two different types of tokens, you would get one
One of
more of each.
each, so it's specifically
Yeah, yeah.
type.
Let's
Okay.
germinate. Yeah,
Because
yeah, like Germinate. You could create one of each, and you'd get one more of one of each kind of thing, right?
okay, so
So
that clarifies it. Okay, good. So then you would not create 6 rune chants if you played
no,
read the runes.
no, no,
Okay,
no. It would
yeah,
be X plus one, where
X
X
plus
is
one.
3 in this particular case. But read the runes, giving you 4 chance. Not too bad.
Still fine.
It's
Yeah.
it's you want to extract at least 1 to 2 value because it's gonna take you a little bit just to get there, right?
Exactly. You're going to be setting up quite a bit. I assume quite a bit actually before you can use his ability to the fullest. Yeah. So Mordred Tide would give you, that many plus one. So if you create one extra with Florian's ability, you'll create two extra. I think like you pointed out earlier. So it's I think you would need more generation, maybe in the form of like a Mavrian Skies could be nice. You create instead to
Mhm.
be 4 rune chance, would be very
Yep.
good.
I do
Um,
think Mograine Skies, especially in a mid-range kind of build, a Grasp of the
if you
Arcanite
want
would
to
obviously
grasp.
create two, but
Two
you know,
basically without conditions, I guess. As long as you have the 4 Earth cards in Banish, it's always pitch 2 to get your first 2 rune chance. Pretty nice.
yep, 4 or more in Banish. That is correct. I think another one I was looking at, if we scroll down
Scroll
for the
down.
more, yeah, the more mid-range, we're talking about the
Oh,
Majestic
well, Revel would be 5
Sunbelt.
here, so that's one
Revel's too
extra.
difficult. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, a bit
Revel
too
can be in
difficult.
like more aggressive builds. Yeah, Revel can be very explosive, but I'm not sure if the decks are going to go towards that at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm thinking more about
Incantation could be 2 per turn. Sorry to cut you off, but this could be 2 per turn.
yes, remove it, and if you do create
I think
rune
it
chant,
creates one
right?
rune chant here. Create a rune chant token. So
Yeah,
it's like a 1 for 6, not too bad.
yeah. I think Rune Blood Incantation is actually very strong in
Mm-hmm.
Florian, especially later in the game, which is kind of interesting because decks like Vincent want Rune Incantation really early, but Florian probably wants it a little
Yeah,
bit.
you can still use it early. It's not bad, but if you get it later on, the beauty is that you're splitting the creation, so you get that effect kind of 3 times instead of just once. So it's pretty nice.
Yeah, and it's a constant. It's like if there are 4 or more, period, his text is just you
Mm-hmm.
create one or
You
more and
just
do that. It's not.
constantly get the
Yeah,
ability. Yeah.
yeah, and if you are able to do that multiple times a turn, I think it does stack. So it's
Yeah.
kind of interesting that like I wonder how difficult it is to get 4 or more Earth cards in the Banish because it seems quite powerful with something like, as you said, Incantation and
Mm-hmm.
cards that are able to really take advantage of Florian's ability. But I think Incantation is quite. It sounds quite strong in
Yeah.
general. Gloomveil is
Gloomveil.
the card I was thinking about, yeah.
Yeah.
And the key is that if you create 1 or more, obviously, it's very easy to create more than one, right? So if you're able
Yeah.
to if you have incantation and you just make 2 chance off incantation, Gloomveil already gets 4 go again, which is very, very like 0 for 4 go again is really quite strong with the 2 chance. And if
Oh
you're
yeah.
able to create one more and saying can't prevent arcane damage, you just get free true damage. So having this being like a 0 for 4 more often than not, especially a little bit later in the game, quite powerful. So I think that's also another good
That's a
mid-rangey card.
yeah card to look out for. I think. Um,
Yeah, I
what
don't
should
know
we
if
end
there's
here?
really anything. I don't think I'd run Quill Hand over
Over grasp.
arms over grasp, at least at the moment. Like we have no idea. I think creepers will probably have a pretty good
Yeah.
spot in mid range builds. So
Yep.
mid range or more maybe more aggressive builds. There might be like a more aggressive Florian that comes out with tools that allow you to go 3-4 wide. That could be a
Mm-hmm.
thing. I don't know if Essential of Suffering is
Oh.
probably something else I would consider.
Yep.
It's not as good as Reduce the Rune Chant because I think Reduce the Rune Chant also gives
You would
you
create
2
the
rune
rune
chance.
chance, so it'd be 2. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so I think Reduce the Rune Chant would probably be my like because if you get
Would be
value
a
of
reactive
both turns,
choice. Yeah.
you get value of both turns, which is kind of nuts. So especially on mid rangey
If you wanna
builds,
create 2 rune chance with with runic reclamation.
like a 2 for 9
Obviously,
seems pretty good.
it's not too
Yeah.
bad, but of course that is more of a fringe pick.
So the point is, I think we see a lot more Rune Blade cards that could pretty easily be slotted in with some strong Earth cards
Yeah.
to create any kind of Florian you're looking to do. Not so much the Elemental Rune Blade because there's only really been one set of that, right? As far as elements, we've
Yeah.
only had one set of elemental cards in general. So I think those are kind of the cards we want to
Um,
highlight
if you're
here.
looking at excess rune generation, Ninth Blade could be a pick if you're going a more end game kind of build up your rune chance
So keep
build.
there, yeah, yeah, yeah.
It could be pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, because you can't do the Arc Knight Ascendancy because that's a Viscerai spec,
It
no?
is. It is.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
so
think I
that would
saw
be
it
fun.
earlier, but yeah, you cannot
Yeah,
use that card. Yeah.
yeah. Anyways,
Cool.
I think that's a nice rundown. We're not gonna
Yeah.
go through every single card for like lightning and all that. It was just supposed to be a general idea on some cards that might
That's
be
fair.
powerful this hero. And with that, it's gonna be an exciting set here. I think a lot of people that I know kind of were taken a little bit back from heavy hitters and even
Yeah. Even missed it
the
a little bit.
limited and the CC. Yeah, they were like, oh, Zen just coming around shitting on everybody. They
Yeah.
they might be a little
Holy cow.
waiting for a bit more elements here, but.
Yeah.
With that, if you like this kind of content, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And from wherever you're watching in the world, have a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Bye for now.